Hey, on this channel, some of the people that have refound me always would like me to put the whole What's case back out on the internet, which, you know, I don't have a problem with, but YouTube didn't like it, and look how things have moved on. And you know, there was another case after this What's case. There was the Patrick Frazee case. That was all done. We didn't see it, but that's because we were noticing that things weren't right in that one. But anyway, he's all sentenced and whatever has happened, and that was while we were in lockdown, maybe 2 years ago. But anyway, you know, looking at the Chris Watts case, I just really struggle with this whole thing. That man stood up in court and said that they saw him take the bodies out on the footage in Chris Watts's security on his doorbell and wherever else they had cameras in the house. But he saw it. They saw they saw Chris Watts take their bodies outside and put them in, you know, they saw it. That's what they said. They saw the bodies. For about a year and a half later, or a year later, there he is. He's now been sentenced and he's sitting in prison. And Tammy and, oh my God, I've forgotten his name now. I've forgotten what his name is, the other one, because we haven't looked at it for so long. But Tammy and someone will put it in the comments. They turn up and they have this very flirty, weird conversation where Chris Watts suddenly changes the whole story and says, because, well, what it was is the drive. We all remember the drive footage, if anybody is into this case, where we saw the shadows sort of coming towards him, and then he scoops down and picks them up, and then he changes his story that he's killed the children after he's gone out to the oil tanks, and that's even really horrible. Anyway, so you get this great big long conversation with him where really, I don't know, but then that means that the DA lied. It means this man here lied. Anyway, we're going to continue with the rest of the video, as I did this video a few years ago. But anyway, let's hear what he says, the bit that I struggle with, and then let's just hear the little video I made. Made it 2018, or even 17, whenever this case was, 18, and I think it was about 2018. But anyway, let's continue.
Even worse, what must Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3, must have experienced or thought as their father, the one man on this planet who was supposed to nurture and protect them, was snuffing out their lives. They both died from smothering. Let me say that again. The man seated to my right smothered his daughters. Why? Imagine the horror in Bella's mind as her father took her last breaths away. Your Honor, understand very clearly, Bella fought back for her life. The frenulum, the connective tissue between her upper lip and her gum, had a centimeter and a half laceration. She bit her tongue multiple times before she died. She fought back for her life as her father smothered her. Celeste had no such injuries. In fact, she had no external injuries at all. But according to the medical examiner, she was smothered nonetheless. The defendant then methodically and calmly loaded their bodies into his work truck, not in a hasty or disorganized way. He was seen from the neighbor's doorbell camera, backing his truck into the driveway, going back and forth into the house and back out to the truck 3 different times. 1 time for each of their bodies. He then drove them away from their family home one final time, intent on hiding any evidence of the crimes that he had just committed. In one final sign of callousness for his wife, his daughters, and their unborn son, and their remains, he drove them to a location that he thought no one would ever find them, to one of the oil tank batteries with which he was so familiar. He knew this was safe.
All those weeks and hours and hours and hours going over an hour and 20 minutes footage, where we've got a whole sequence of night going through the twilight zones to dawn, and then almost it being light when he left. We've got an hour and 20 minutes of actually seeing from the beginning to the end how much the light changes. People like me, people from other channels, spending hours and hours going over this footage, breaking it down, seeing another shadow on the drive, another shadow walks in, he bends down and he scoops it up. He bends down and he scoops it up. It is obvious because of the way the lights are on the garages. You're looking at one closest to the neighbour, but there's another one on one of the other garage pillars. That is causing the shadow. All the shadows, no matter whether he's walking to it or from it, will always be on one side. So how can a shadow come in from the other side to him and he scoops down and picks it up before he's even got there? So what is this footage? It is obvious you can see someone coming extra onto the drive. So how could the police not look into this footage properly and see that shadow? 10. There's another probably 1 or 2 videos associated with the drive where I'm talking about it, saying that it's not true. And there we go. In the interview it is mentioned that we all heard what the district attorney said at his sentencing.
The defendant then methodically and calmly loaded their bodies into his work truck, not in a hasty or disorganized way. He was seen from the neighbor's doorbell camera backing his truck into the driveway, going back and forth into the house and back out to the truck 3 different times. 1 time for each of their bodies.
And then you have what Nate, Chris Watts' neighbour, says on national television.
Police get a break in the form of the Watts' next-door neighbor, Nate Trinastich. He has a security camera on the front of his house.
It's right there above your head. What I did is said I have the video surveillance. The only thing I caught was Chris backing his truck into the garage.
So here we go then, one more time. No drive footage, no girlfriend on drive, no nothing. Because if it was, the police would have it, and they don't. They don't have anything.
You're kind of on the floor in the back, and they're just on the bench. Okay. And both alive at that point. Okay. Is there any reason you would feel uncomfortable to tell me that they were not alive at that point? Okay.
Wasn't it a video or anything?
It's hard to see. Okay. And I believe you. I'm just I'm trying to make sure that I'm giving you all the opportunities to be comfortable enough to tell me exactly. Is there any reason you would feel uncomfortable to tell me that they were not alive at that point? Okay.
Wasn't it a video or anything?
It's hard to see. Okay.
And then after that, he's told us that he did take the children, and they believe him, and they believe he was alive, and we've had all that horrible story, and extra of what those children had to go through in that truck with their feet on their dead mum. We've had the fact of how he killed them at the oil field now, not in the house. So what is going on here? Because that video clearly shows another shadow coming onto the drive, yet they're saying that nothing was captured. And in the interview, we didn't capture anything, it wasn't clear enough. It's obvious there's another shadow. So what is all this footage? What does everybody think is going on? So that's another time. You've seen me make a few videos on here about the fact that this isn't true. So what do you reckon's going on here? So how did we get a video showing dark into it practically being almost light, although he had his lights on so the sun hadn't quite come up. He left 20 minutes before sunlight. That's what I looked up, all the times of, you know, the sunrise and that, and the time he said he left. So we've got that, and then in the discovery it says that he was only on the drive for 10 minutes. What is all this? Because they're saying that they didn't have any footage. Has he just told another set of lies? Why is it the people are being the detectives?